This is Dorman Vic, and you're listening to The Ascent with Crestmont Private Wealth.
The opinions expressed are those of the host. The material is for informational purposes only. It does not constitute investment advice, and it is not intended as an endorsement for any specific investment. Visit crestmontpw.com for more details.
Welcome to The Ascent. This is Sam McGee with Crestmont Private Wealth. We have an office in Houston, Texas at One Riverway and on Main Street in Boerne, 604 South Main with the American flag out front. Charming little white building there that is historic. It's the original Dinger homestead. Today we have a vocational leader who's in Boerne, Texas, who's bringing back some old school grit. And most of you in Kendall County know who this is, but if you're out of the area, you're going to learn something a little bit new today and hear from one of our local heroes, Dorman Vic. Welcome to the show, Dorman.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you, Mr. McGee, for having me on.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about maybe how you got started with your welding program that you do at Champion High School. And I wouldn't say it's any ordinary welding program. This is state-renowned, nationally renowned. I'd say the gold standard for vocational trade in high school. And obviously that doesn't happen by accident. Maybe give a little bit of the background of the story, how it happened.
And God had an incredible plan that he mapped out. In Pearsall, Texas, I was at a cowboy church roping, and it started by a man that stood up and started telling his testimony. He didn't tell us his name, but I was at the edge of my seat. At that time, I was a college graduate working in the trades and knew that God had something bigger in store for me. I could feel it. And at the end of this man's testimony, he said, y'all may know some of my, one of my sons. His name's George Strait. Well, at that point, I about fell out of the chair. I was at a roping the next weekend in Kerrville, Texas, and a man by the name of Larry Waltisberger, an incredibly inspiring man that taught at Clark High School metal trades for 27 years, rode up to me and said, hey, Dorman, you need to take my job. I'm retiring this year. I went back to Saul Ross on short format, got my ag ed, and the rest is history. Our program here is all started because of John Byram Strait. And one man's testimony, one man investing in another by just a testimony changed the course and has changed so many people's lives. Well,
and I've heard that a lot, since being here in 2021, and a not to be named neighbor across the street. One of your students approached me maybe a couple years ago before my kids were going into high school and said, hey, you've got to get in this program. And maybe just talk a little bit about, what it means to you to have young men and women come through your program and, start out as a sophomore and get to be a senior. What does that mean to you, and what do you hope for them?
The incredible thing is we've taken a blue-collar course, brought it into a predominant white-collar community, and it's thrived. It's thrived in 21 years. We built the program on the back of sons of doctors and lawyers and business people, and we've proven that it works at the highest level. And it's not because of Dorman Vic, it's because God had a plan from that testimony to every celebrity, every dignitary, every television show, everybody that's tried to stop this movement, to everybody that's tried to support it. It's God that's been behind it, and I believe that we're just getting started.
Incredible.
We've turned vocational education into a cool thing. We've put kids' hands to work. We put the cell phones out, and we've done incredible things and brought in some dignitary and celebrity support that's unheard of.
Yeah, you had Rick Perry over here, right?
Absolutely, yes, sir. We actually have Lieutenant General Leroy Cisco, a 3-star general that's formed the Welding Student Support Foundation to solely support our efforts, and these are all Boerne men. General Cisco lives here in Boerne. He invests in Boerne. We have David Satsky that owns DOS Underground and Utilities, Mr. Jeff Collins that owns Progressive Emergency Products, Homegrown Boerne, and Mr. Tony Carolla that stand on this board and stand behind our mission.
So I was recently at the convocation for BISD, and there was a really heartfelt, incredible video that had one of your students that it was a young lady that has one arm that welds. And I was so moved by that. I don't see any limitation whatsoever there. One of my best friends growing up played ball at TCU, one-armed. Maybe tell a little bit about that story, if you would. I just thought that was so cool.
It definitely was cool. Lena Ochoa, she could be the face of this movement. She proves the point. that putting our hand in her situation to work, man, I mean, she's knocking down glass ceilings. She's going to the next level. She's showing that her willingness to be able to get on camera and shine at the level that she shined with a welding hood on, it's cool. It's what everybody needs. And if you're sitting there with a disability, there's no restrictions, no boundaries that you can't achieve. And it was a really special moment to see Boerne ISD highlight it. But I think the reason they did highlight it was we have an incredible superintendent in Dr. Kristen Kraft.
You know, I think someone told me not too long ago, I thought this was a really good quote. I wish I remembered who it was, but they said that if you think with your mind all week, you should work with your hands on the weekend. And if you work with your hands all week, you should use your mind on the weekend. So is it true for you? I mean, you're hands-on. So on the weekend, are you reading books, or are you still doing more welding?
I'm living at the shop.
Are you?
Bill collectors don't go to my house to look for me. They're at the shop. That's the other thing, the investment of time. I mean, these kids only have 4 years when they come in. We really need to be bringing this into our middle schools. We should bring basic shop back. Most of your listeners, if they're 60 and over, they came when vocation, no matter East Coast, West Coast, North, South, we used to have vocational education across this whole nation. And we took it out, and it's time we bring them back. But also, Mike Rowe, one of the biggest voices nationally for our trades, he's even addressing it. We've got to unvilify them. We have to realize it's okay to let our kids and support this type of education.
Yeah, and there was a book I read recently that was recommended by a client called Art of Impossible. I don't know if you guys read that, but there's a chapter in there that's dedicated towards when you learn a new skill, especially something that's challenging, difficult, out of your comfort zone, you actually create more learning patterns and all the other areas improve. So kind of like what you were saying, hey, you know, we used to have shop, we used to have all these other things that were required a while back. Shoot, I remember the presidential fitness program. You know, there was a lot of things that were different. But I think you're right. I think having more discipline in other areas can just be more additive to your skill sets and whatever you ultimately choose.
Well, I think your listeners need to understand as taxpayers and the way that our Texas system is set up, the largest part of our escrow every year that we pay in taxes goes back to our public school system. So just because your child has gone through that system and graduated and you go, whoo, so glad we're done with that. That's the wrong attitude. Yeah. You should roll your shirt sleeves up, be at the table, because your money is invested into these kids. So they are a tax burden while they're in school. We need to do a better job of creating tax-paying citizens while they're in school. They should leave with massive visions of where they're going.
Yes.
Not just I'm going to get in debt to go get a degree.
Yes. So taking a look at just the direction of the program and where you want to take this, and, you know, if you were talking to other high school districts out there, you know, what would you tell other superintendents that don't have a program, you know, where you want this to go outside of Kendall County?
It's time that the state of Texas makes a push, and a massive push, for vocational education. And I hope and pray that I can be at that table to take my expertise and lead us in the direction that we need to go. Due to the diversity of career and technology education, it's imperative that we have people at the table that has done it before. We need industry at the table also. It's a complex recipe that we need to put together. Time is of the essence right now. It's fragile. These retirees aren't going home and making YouTube videos on how to be a master plumber, electrical, HVAC. The list is a mile long. They're retiring and they're giving up on our kids because our kids have cell phones strapped in their hand 24/7.
Yep. So it gets talked about a lot how the middle class has been decimated really since the 50s, and a lot of talk about manufacturing and, you know, the country offshoring a lot of that. So bringing back vocational trade and skill is something that, if we're going to be competitive in the U.S., you have to have a base, and you have to have a base of talent. Otherwise, you have a shortage, which does what? It increases wages incredibly, right? So when we take a look at what's out there today and the goals for the U.S. to make headway in becoming a leader in production, in manufacturing, and that's going to take skilled trade, right? And, you know, I'm kind of just looking over here, I was curious before we started the show, which famous people out there used to be welders before they, they got going in life. And, interestingly enough, I didn't know this, but Merle Haggard started out as a welder.
Wow.
So, yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Pretty wild.
When you look at General Leroy Sisco, he learned leather work when he was in middle school. You look at George Strait, he took a welding course in Pearsall. You look at Governor Rick Perry in Paint Creek High School, he took welding. So the list is on and on of our celebrities and dignitaries, people that have gone on to be CEOs of massive million-dollar companies.
Right.
They got their start in a shop class. But people, we don't sit back and reflect much, especially us men. We don't sit back and reflect, man, how'd I get where I'm at? But when you do, and if you had a shop program, a lot of times you sit back and go, man, that was that solid male role model, right?
Yep.
We love talking about coaches, and no disrespect there. It's just to build the infrastructure of the room we're sitting in and not worry about the ceiling falling, worry about the bridge that we go across every day, the asphalt and our roads being smooth. I mean, all these things, the air being good, the lights coming on. How many times the light switch flip on? These are all the things that are imperative to keep this nation going. And we've got a president right now. We've got a governor right now. We've got an army of people that believe in it. And I think we're kind of all just standing around out in the field wondering, how do we get there?
Yeah. Well, it is kind of interesting how the culture has been turned into this Amazon on-demand culture where things just show up magically the very next day after you want it. Well, you know what? Somebody had to produce that stuff.
Hey, we did an incredible thing last year is Peter Holt with Holt Cat. I mean, they stepped up and took a big chance on me on a vision of trying to offer dual shield flux core entry-level welding 1 certifications while a student was in high school. So we offered it to my students, which were juniors and seniors. 35 of those students achieved that certification. It's not an easy cert. So they're ready to be employable with Holt upon graduation. Now,
wow.
that's what I'm talking the North Star needs to be. That's a model of what success should look like.
When you've got a freshman that comes in, maybe they're a little intimidated by throwing on the shield and getting the gear and doing all those things. By the time they leave, what would you expect them to know how to do?
If I've done my job, it's like tricking them into learn. They're shaking like a cat on a hot tin roof when they first get out there. And by the time they leave me when they're seniors, they're like, Vic, man, I was never nervous to be out there. And they have that portfolio, those, our grandmothers told us a picture's worth 1,000 words.
Right.
So when they have those pictures of fish structures for Boerne Lake or the cemetery for their hometown, they're only going to graduate from one high school and have one hometown.
Right.
So when they have all that, let alone if we build for the government, we're the only program in the nation to have built for the government. We've built for George Strait, Governor Rick Perry. We've built for Bill Goldberg, and I'm going to name. There's tons that we've built for. But they're going to leave strong, confident. They're going to have a portfolio. They're going to show the taxpayers that, hey, your money matters. And the most importantly for me, they're going to learn to take their hat off when they meet a woman. They're going to hold the door open. They're going to say good morning. They're going to not tell you a lie. They're not going to steal from you. And to me, that's miles ahead of the rest.
Yeah, I love that. Shoot, you could strip out the welding, and that's still a pretty good class. I think most parents would listen to this and go, yeah, where can I sign up for that?
Right. Well, speaking of signing up, your listeners can get involved by supporting the Welding Student Support Foundation. That's the number one way because their mission is greater. Commissioner of Education Mike Morath, Governor Perry had selected me to go around the state of Texas to tour other vocational programs. We recently put out a video. It can be found on our Instagram at Vick_welding_nation. And in the bio has all of our television shows that's been done on the program.
Awesome. Will you repeat that one more time? Because somebody right now is probably going to write that down.
That's VICK_WELDING_NATION.
Awesome.
On Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, but Instagram is the place to go.
Excellent. I think I saw a few videos of Rick Perry with his dad's truck, and you guys were involved with that, and they're all on that page, right?
Oh, absolutely. Governor Perry is instrumental right now through Firma America, his nuclear power plant company, through just in multiple areas. Governor Perry has been a humongous quarterback for us and a great asset to this movement for our American children to get their hands back to work.
My goodness, this is good.
I can't thank you enough today, Mr. McGee, for having me on the Ascent, because this is the Ascent of vocational education, and I'd love for your listeners to get on board right now and join the team, join the winning team. This is probably the most bipartisan movement short of military, and it's a God movement. You ain't going wrong to get on board and push your kid, no matter where they are, to do better, be better, and to love this nation. It's just you'll see a whole revival. We don't know when the Lord's coming back. It could be another 1,000 years from right now. It's time we stand. Turn those tables over at the Tabernacle. Demand better in your districts. Demand better from the state of Texas. And demand better from our school systems to support and foster our children to success.
Love it. Love it. Well said. I don't even know how to close on that. I mean, you said everything. You can just mic drop and get out of here with that one.
Well, you know what? I tell you what, let's challenge it this way. Your listeners know how to get a hold of you easier than they know how to get a hold of me. So I tell you what, everybody listening that wants to get behind this movement, get a hold of Mr. McGee like right now. Start sending his inbox some emails, and let's get the ball rolling out of Boerne, Texas, and the Ascent.
Love it. Love it. So we can be reached at info@crestmontpw.com. I've got Dorman Vic here as a special guest who leads the vocational program with welding over at Champion High School in Boerne. We've been talking a little bit about faith. We've been talking a little bit about trade. We've been talking about just old-fashioned grit and manners, too. I like that little mix in that. That was good. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the show. Have a great weekend, and God bless.